Hey, Falcons and NFL fans, welcome to another episode of NFL Jocks and Pigskins. With Tom Pollen, Chris Smitherman behind the scenes producing, I'm Dave Holcomb. We've got two Falcons games to discuss. I know most fans probably don't want to discuss them at all, but we will spend some time talking about where the Falcons go from here after two really tough losses. I mean, the these last two games and them taking place in 5 days is unique as well. This is the
Yeah,
worst, maybe the worst 5 days an NFL team has had. I don't know, ever. The worst I've ever seen.
worst I can think of.
Yeah,
It's hard to remember anybody having a worse stretch because I mean it was bad enough against the Dallas Cowboys, but
right.
yeah, the hell of it is I think they played tough against the Patriots. They didn't pack it in uh, by any you know estimate. They played hard. They just
Right.
couldn't do anything and. I was actually more impressed with their defense against New England than I was, you know, but the offense was just, nowhere. There's just nothing they can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will dissect the Falcons' last two losses, see where they can go from here. Can they still make the playoffs? That was the P word came up in the press conference with AJ Terrell after the game,
Did it?
and he said they can still make the playoffs. So we'll weigh in on that, and we'll have our picks for this coming week. Tomorrow's action in the NFL. Tom always has some great predictions for us against the spread and in the Prize Pick app, which by the way, that gets into our sponsor. This video brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the simplest fantasy sports game out there. Just download the app. Really easy to get started. Sign up with your email. And when you sign up, make sure you use the promo code when you make your first deposit. That promo code ASU, Atlanta Sports Unlimited. You get a 100% match on your first deposit.
Absolutely. As I say, free money. How can you turn down that?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's fun. It's a fun way to watch football. It's another frustrating way, frustrating and fun. It's basically like fantasy football.
Yeah.
It drives you nuts, but
But very rewarding when you get it right.
when you get it right, yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the rest of the time, you're like, ah. But yeah, what can I say? Um, but a fun
Well,
way to
you'll have
watch
some,
football.
we'll have some great advice. You'll have some input on what people should be picking this weekend to get started on the app.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and anybody who's already started on the app, how'd you do? How'd you do last week? I'd love to hear it. So let us know. Um, we will keep track of this as we go through the season. Let us know how you did. Um, I didn't do as well, but I had a bad week last week. It was rough. Um,
Well, yeah, you messaged me on Twitter on Sunday, and yeah, I don't think you should be too down about it though, just because it's been a weird couple of weeks in the NFL.
yeah,
It's
boy,
been a
yeah,
weird season. Some teams have fallen back to the pack, like the Rams have fallen back. The Cardinals lost to the Panthers, and Cowboys are back on track after their blowout last week. But the week before, they lost to the Broncos, and the Broncos turn around and lose to the team 3 games behind the Cowboys in the division, the Eagles. So at home, and they beat the Cowboys on the road. It's kind of been a weird couple of weeks, and
yeah,
and
it has been.
a lot of parity in the league this year.
Yeah, it seems to be. I'm telling you, and you know, the key to the whole thing seems to be if you have a healthy offensive line, healthy defensive line, you can do some things. Or if your quarterback goes out, I mean, for Arizona, that offense is built for Kyler Murray. Not having him 2 weeks, you saw what happened last week.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, they went in and tore apart the 49ers in it's not San Francisco anymore; it's Santa Clara, but
yeah,
lost last week, and you saw exactly how much they missed Kyler Murray, and so there's a lot of things and a lot of injuries happening, a lot of COVID news happening. So
Yeah.
it's been tough to keep up with over the last couple of weeks, and try and keep up with who's going to be strong, who's got guys back, and who's missing. So, but yeah, a weird NFL season so far.
Had our first tie on Sunday last week as well.
God. Yeah, we did, man. That's a game you just wish could never have ended because, man, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, the NFL needs more comedy like that.
I only saw overtime because I was covering the Falcons, and then I turned on the game right at the start of overtime, and just what a disaster for both teams.
No,
Neither team wanted to win, and that's why it ended in a tie because neither team could do anything correct in overtime. And as soon as it seemed like, oh, Detroit's going to win, they made a mistake, and it's like, oh, okay, the Steelers are going to win, and no.
So, I wanted to see how long they could keep going without, finding a way to finding some kind of way to win that game. How many ways were there for a team to lose a game? It's starting to keep count.
Yeah,
it was getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and
so
they brought up
fans. Don't feel so bad. You could be a Lions fan.
Well, the Falcons are playing the Lions in a few weeks, which should be, an easy win. But, I said the same thing for the Steelers last week. Should be an easy win. Should be a win. Maybe not even easy. It should just be a win.
Should be a win.
But we'll see. The Falcons, as Arthur Smith put it in the press conference, I mean, it was interesting because he's much more grumpy for his press conferences than Dan Quinn was. Dan Quinn was very cordial and professional, and not that Arthur Smith isn't professional, but he gets defensive sometimes, and he gets very, he's just not best friends with the media, which is fine. But it was kind of, I don't want to say he was cordial after Thursday night's game, but he was much more positive than normal. And he didn't even really want to use the words like blowout, or he just was like, you guys saw the last two games. It's not good enough. That was really the most critical he got,
right,
saying that it's not good enough. But, obviously that's just putting it lightly, that they have been nowhere close to competing really at all in these last two games, especially on offense. And that's so discouraging. I know they were missing some players, and we should talk about that. But it's so discouraging that this is where the Falcons are on offense when, we hyped up the offense all summer long, and we were excited about Arthur Smith coming in and leading this group. And this group not only has major holes on defense, it now is very apparent that there are major holes going into next year's draft on offense.
Yes, there are. Absolutely. They've got to do something about this offensive line. It's just, you cannot run the ball successfully if you're getting met at the line of scrimmage. If your first contact is at the line of scrimmage, you're done.
Yeah.
You're just not moving the ball. And you're asking Matt Ryan to move the offense without having a running game. And because of that, Ryan has had two of his worst games of the season in the last 2 weeks. Worst passer rating that he's had all season. So
he's not getting any yards.
No.
Like even in garbage time, like he's under 160 yards in the last two games, and like a great game for Matt Ryan is double that.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, you take away the running game, and I know Cordero Patterson was out last week. Allison did a fairly good job running last week. I was impressed with him. Made a couple of nice moves, a couple of nice cuts, had a little bit of speed. Let's see, Miss Maggie T came in. 2 embarrassing games. Got to fix the O-line. Yep, Maggie T, that's exactly what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Got to fix the O-line.
And Maggie's summarizing, I think, the last two games in 2 sentences, which is hard to do, but I think that's a great job of. To me, that's the biggest glaring issue with the team right now too, is the offensive line.
I'm sorry, McGarry is not a tackle. He's not a right tackle. He is slow, and he's getting beat. He's getting beat a lot. And Dimitrov, I know we traded back into the first round to get McGarry, but I don't know if you want to try him at guard because you got him for a couple more years. If you try him at guard, but he's definitely slow on the end. He gets beat regularly, and it's hard to know what to say with it because. And as I've been saying all day, they get no push on the offensive line on running plays.
Yeah.
They're not getting off the ball. And that's just, I don't know if that's, it shouldn't have anything to do with snap count. I mean, my God, they've been playing with Matt Ryan for a while. You kind of get a feel for how he runs his snap count. It's just that they get beaten off the ball. And he's finding a lot of tight pockets, even when he has to throw. He's throwing in tight pockets. That O-line is not doing him any favors. So,
I think the interception was the first interception. I know there were quite a few at the end. Of the game.
At the end of the game.
But the first Matt Ryan interception, I placed that one on the offensive line.
Yeah,
because he's been battered all day,
right?
So he's a little gun shy.
He threw that one off his back foot.
Right. And I believe there were 2 free blitzers on that play. I have to go back and look at the replay, but I believe there were 2 guys coming off the edge, clean, no blockers. So he throws it off his back foot. There was a little bit of green, that he was trying to lead the receiver to, but he let him too much. And it went to the safety.
You can't be accurate throwing off your back foot because the ball will float. And you won't have any juice on the ball. You could try to lead the receiver throwing off your back foot, but you're not going to have any kind of juice where it's going to get to him in time. You're always going to give the defensive back a chance to make a play if you're throwing off your back foot. And believe me, I watched Mitch Trubisky for 3 years, so I know what it's like to see a quarterback throw off his back foot.
Yeah.
But and that was one of the problems. That's why Ryan did throw that first interception. He just had no chance.
Yeah. But getting back to the running game, I was diving into some deep stats because I was writing about the offensive line Thursday night, early Thursday morning, really. And, it's hard writing about the offensive line because there's not easy stats to come up with to support your point. But I did find that what you're talking about with the Falcons running backs getting hit immediately in the backfield or right at the line of scrimmage, Mike Davis and Cordero Patterson are both in the bottom 10 in yards before contact.
Before contact, yeah.
And that's not really on the running back. That's on the blocking.
They're getting to the line fast. I mean, these are both fast guys. These are guys who attack the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So
there's nothing there when they get there.
That stat category really is offensive line play. And the Falcons were the only team in the league that had 2 backs in the bottom 10 in that stat.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I didn't look that up this week, but that does not surprise me one bit. Just based on the eye test, from watching the game.
I think that was also before Thursday's game because I was looking at the stats on that stat. If you want to check it out, is on Pro Football Reference, and it was
when Pro Football Reference. And all you fans out there, if you really want to dig behind the game, Pro Football Reference is the greatest site. It is. It's a fantastic site.
Yeah.
So I strongly recommend it.
But I think Thursday at like 2 a.m., Friday 2 a.m., I don't think it was updated yet for Thursday's game.
No. It always takes them into the next day to get it updated. That's the one thing about Pro Football Reference. They're a little slow to update after a game is over.
Yeah.
But they don't update till the next morning. But the thing is, Dave, I saw the same thing against New England. So I don't think that stat would have changed much.
Because I'm saying I think it might have gotten worse, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
It
know.
didn't get better.
Exactly.
Did not get better. And Cordell Patterson didn't play, so he was still in the bottom 10 for sure. But I think Mike Davis probably got worse, and he's really low on that list. He's like bottom 5, bottom 3, maybe in yards before contact. And unfortunately, Davis isn't as hard as he runs. I really like Mike Davis. I just think he runs hard, and he is a guy that you'd like to have on a team that has a bad offensive line, because I just think he runs hard and he's going to break some tackles. But he in the yards after contact category wasn't doing as well as I thought he would be. Maybe it's just because as soon as he gets hit once and he kind of sheds that guy, he gets hit again.
He gets hit again, right?
Yeah, that might be why he doesn't have many yards after contact either.
He never gets to the second level. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He might clear a tackle, but yeah, I mean, he's getting gang tackled. He's getting surrounded real quick once he's stopped at the line of scrimmage. Now, he could keep his legs turning all he wants, but it's not going to do much. Yards after contact, you have to be able to get, break that first tackle and then get into the second level. He's not getting there. There's nothing he can do. That's the offensive line. There are no openings, and again, no push. Mm-hmm. So they're getting outplayed every week.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But it's so
draft pick has to be on an offensive lineman this week, next year.
A high draft pick, you're saying?
Absolutely. Their first draft pick has to be on an offensive
first draft pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is so disappointing to me, because they've spent so much draft capital the last 3 years on offensive linemen. Like, that is one position that should be fixed, and clearly it's not.
But you're seeing you're seeing the result of Thomas Dimitrov's drafts right now. Let's take the current regime out of the picture.
Okay,
you're seeing what Thomas Dimitrov left this team with, and it's nothing good. There's a reason why he got let go.
Right.
Now it's just not good. He did not draft well. He put this team in salary cap hell, and it's going to take a little while to clean up, because there's not much you can do either way. You're not going to be able to sign anybody worthwhile and bring them in. You've got to do this through the draft. You're going to have to do it through the draft. And it's going to take a couple of years. And I know that's rough to hear. Nobody wants to hear that. No fan of any team wants to hear that. But normally you could get good offensive and defensive linemen in the second round, in the third round. But if you want a Pro Bowl caliber tackle, it's got to be a tackle. You got to get them in the first round. You can get guards and you can get centers in the second round, the third round. But if you want a Pro Bowl caliber lineman, you got to get them in the first round.
I'm not disagreeing.
Come on, argue with me.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just stating the fact of how disappointing it is that it's still a need. And there are so many other needs. Like, they need to get a pass rusher. They desperately need a pass rusher. And talk about, if you want to get a Pro Bowl pass rusher, that has to be in the first round too.
It has to be in the first round too, yeah.
And I know there's still fans out there that say, well, we need Matt Ryan's replacement. Well, that's got to be in the first round too. So, like, you only got one first round pick, and you're only going to address one of these needs, and hopefully you hit on it, which you haven't really been doing lately, hitting on your first
again, round. that was the Dimitrov who hasn't hit.
Yeah.
Now, and see, and I know Kyle Pitts has been outstanding this year. Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts have developed a really close rapport. But
that's why you don't draft Kyle Pitts.
That's one of the reasons why I was so disappointed that they went with Kyle Pitts at number 6, because
number 4.
Number 4, that's right. You had so many other things you needed.
Yeah.
And a guy who could go out and catch passes wasn't one of them.
They needed it.
but you need other things more. You cannot do anything with your offense unless you got guys up front who can move move the front, uh, who can block. It just doesn't work,
Yeah.
and that's from that stems all your other problems. That's the thing. So I like Kyle Pitts as far as a player. The guy's an outstanding player, and he's going to stay an outstanding player. But my God, if you actually wanted to compete this year, it had to have been an offensive lineman.
So like Penny Sewell's who you
Yeah,
would.
Penny Sewell. That's the guy who I wanted to see them take.
Hmm.
So, but that's water under the dam. There's not much you can say about it now.
Right. Yeah.
But and I know they've invested a lot of capital in linemen, both offensive and defensive, but they're not playing. As I say, Lindstrom I think is done fine at guard, but McGarry is just he was not worth trading up to get back into the first round to get. And
No.
we said that at the time.
We did.
Yep. We
Yeah.
said that at the time. And
He wasn't. I mean, look, it's a crapshoot, the draft at times. And look, Dimitrov thought he was the best lineman available, but there were lots of other teams. I'm pretty sure there were other teams, and there were draft experts who did not believe McGarry was the best lineman available at 31, even if you trade up to get a lineman. I think there were two mistakes.
from everything I had read going into that draft, I hadn't seen Keith McGarry, uh, any farther than up, third round.
Well, I was just about to say, I think there were two mistakes there. Trading up was a mistake. I don't think they should have given up the draft picks to do that. And then they picked the wrong guy.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think there were other better tackles available where they picked McGarry. But as you said, I mean, in the past.
And you missed out on Montez Sweat and Brian Burns. So.
Well, they picked Lindstrom instead of those guys.
Yeah, but I think one of them was still available, wasn't he? Wasn't Sweat still available? Oh no, maybe he wasn't. I don't.
Was he available at 31?
Something. I don't know.
Brian Burns was not. Brian Burns, I think, was picked right after Chris Lindstrom.
Yeah, I think you're right. Burns was picked right after Lindstrom.
And Sweat, I don't know. Sweat was a controversial player because he was injured during the draft.
Man, he was a great prospect. And sorry to see that they missed on him, but that's the kind of thing. Again, you got so many needs, and you only have so many drafts to do it. First round picks, as you point out, but you got to start somewhere. You've got to build from the inside out, and both offensive and defensive lines need an overhaul. You got to have somebody who can play with Grady Jarrett. Anybody who can play with Grady Jarrett is going to improve his play too,
right?
Because opponents know that as long as you can keep Grady Jarrett under control, you're doing fine. There's nobody else.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about anybody.
But as you said, the defense played fairly well against New England. They did get sacks on Mac Jones.
Yes, they really did. They played tough as a unit. They played tough. I don't know if anybody really stood out to me individually, but as a unit, they played very tough and gave it all they had. And that kind of game, if your offense doesn't do anything, the fourth quarter, they're gassed. There's nothing you can do. You've got to give them a reason to keep going out there and giving everything they have. And the fourth quarter comes by, and you're still. You're only down by 2 scores, but you haven't scored yet. You haven't put the ball in the end zone yet.
Yeah.
And that gets rough on a defense. After a time, they just get tired.
It still was a 2-possession game with 2 to go.
Yeah, until Rosen came in and Felipe Franks came in.
But, talk about a comedy of errors. The tie on Sunday, man, that was bad.
So you had 3 quarterbacks who threw 4 interceptions.
Right.
I wonder when the last time that happened.
There was a stat on Twitter. I think it was. I think it might have been the Colts in like 1998. I don't know exactly
Okay.
if that for sure, but yeah, somebody was looking up that stat last time that happened.
Doesn't surprise me. If I had thought about it, I would have looked it up too, because
Yeah.
you could do that on Pro Football Reference. You can look at that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, three quarterbacks throwing four interceptions. That was uh, just unbelievable.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but Felipe Franks should not play quarterback.
No, you shouldn't.
I know some people think Josh Rosen shouldn't play quarterback either, but
At least he was drafted. He
you
was
know,
successful in college at it. I
yeah,
know he has not been successful in the pros at it.
I've always been a Rosen fan. I think that if he lands in the right spot and he's he's running out of chances at this point, but if he
Yeah.
lands with somebody that really nurtures him, I think he could be a decent NFL quarterback.
He's going to be a
But
career backup.
yeah, right. But he could stick around for a while as a decent backup if he's in the right spot. Felipe Franks is not an NFL quarterback,
He's not an
so
NFL quarterback. There's no
you
way.
know the way I think Rosen's been, I don't want to say mistreated, but just he hasn't been nurtured in his career. Any place, no place really has believed in him
No.
since his rookie season. So, and to me, he throws one interception, and then you bench him for Felipe Franks. That's not nurturing him either. But
No, that isn't. That was ridiculous.
yeah,
Having Felipe Franks in the game at any point was ridiculous. He's not a quarterback. He's never going to be a quarterback. All right, let's put it that way. I don't care how many people work with him. He's not going to be an NFL quarterback. It's the way it is.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Comment from traveling Charlie says he's got the same shelf as me.
oh, okay. Hey,
Yeah.
that's neat.
Thanks for noticing my background. Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
some sports memorabilia up there, a Steelers helmet. I need to get something Falcons to put right here.
Yes, you
Been
do.
been meaning to do that for a while.
Yeah, you do. You have to get something Falcons.
Yeah.
So
So thanks for coming.
that's how much people want to talk about the Falcons.
Right. Yeah. Well, the last thing I want to discuss with the Falcons is the P word, playoffs. And we've got, I'm going to pull up the standings here. And, this is admittedly, this has been an effort to be positive about the Falcons the last couple of weeks. We're saying, hey, they're right there. They're right there. They're no longer right there, but they're still in the mix.
But what we were saying was they if they come through,
right,
the spot was sitting there for them, but they had to come through, and they just failed, miserably failed to come through.
Well, I'm going to counter that a little bit. I don't think we really said that they have to come through or we're going to come through against New England or Dallas. Look, I did not expect them to get blown out by 40 points and then get shut out. But I didn't think they were going to win these two games. So at the end of the day, I'm not that surprised that they're 4-6 after being 4-4 with the win against New Orleans. I think what I said was they have to steal one of the next three games. And they did do that. They won at New Orleans.
Yeah.
So looking at their schedule now and where they are in the standings, they've got Jacksonville up next, then two division games, Tampa Bay at Carolina, at San Francisco, and then home against Detroit. That's their next 5 games. Can they win 3 of those 5 games, 4 of those 5 games, get back to 500? Deep sigh.
They're going to have to win 4. Okay, got to win 4 of these. Jacksonville damn well better.
Oh, if they lose to Jacksonville, all bets are off. Season's over.
That's all.
Season's over. If they
Tampa,
lose to Detroit, I don't know what the season's going to look like in a month. They play Detroit the day after Christmas. But if they lose to Detroit, I don't care if Detroit wins their next 4 games before that. If they lose to Detroit, they're done.
Yes, they're done.
They have to win those games.
Panthers, I think, are still beatable, except you got to beat their defense. I know Cam Newton had a great comeback last week, 2 touchdowns, 2 plays. But those were 2 special packages put in place for Cam Newton. Cam Newton's play over the course of a game the last couple of years has not been very encouraging.
Right.
So let's not get caught up in the Cam Newton hype, because it's not there. Let's see him play a full game and run the pass attack and see what he can do. He was in for 2 special plays, and don't get caught up in the Cam Newton effect yet. He might be back. I don't know. He might be, but it's way too early to say. But I know a lot of people are jumping overboard and saying, "My God, Cam Newton, isn't he something? He's back. He's the quarterback now. He's going to lead Carolina back to the Super Bowl like he did before," and blah blah blah. And San Francisco cannot win at home. I think they've won once at home over the last 2 seasons. So, so San Francisco's a winnable game because you're playing them in Levi Stadium. But other than that, so you can get 4.
Those are the 4 that you would think we're gonna say Tampa Bay is a loss, and the other 4 are winnable. I think that's true.
Carolina is winnable if you can move the ball.
Yeah,
they are tough to move the ball against. They still have a solid defense, but if Atlanta can move the ball, they can be beat. So it'd be interesting to see. So it is possible.
So not all hope is lost. I know that we're talking draft already, and we're talking what this team is going to look like in 2022 and beyond. But this season is not lost. It is not lost. It's I know the team didn't necessarily do a great job of this, because I think I was trying to look this up on Pro Football Reference this week. When was the last time, or ever has it happened, where a team got blown out by 40 and then had to play Thursday? I could not find any other game in history where that was the case.
Might not have happened.
I think this is the first time ever in NFL history that happened, where a team got lost by 40 and then played 4 days later. And I think what the Falcons needed to do was, I know they didn't think necessarily they were going to lose to Dallas, but as a analyst, as a fan, I thought they were going to lose to Dallas.
I thought they were going to lose to Dallas because Dak Prescott, that was his second game back from injury. He shook off all the rust after that first game back.
I think a good approach would have been, hey, let's just think that we lost 30-29, and it's just a loss, and that's and it doesn't matter. We're 4-5 regardless of whether it was close or not. I think the fans need to have that approach, at least for 1 more week, see how it goes against Jacksonville.
But again, they play tough. The Falcons did not have a problem coming off of that big loss. The Falcons played it tough. They didn't come out looking like they were embarrassed because of the way they lost to the Cowboys. They came out and attacked. But as I say, you can only attack so much. And after a certain amount of time, your defense they get frustrated. It gets very frustrated when you don't see anything happening. You're fighting your butt off to keep the game close, and nothing's happening.
Do you think, maybe the key to turning this around is getting back Cordell Patterson and maybe Calvin Ridley? We don't really know his status, but he could come back.
No, because I don't think their offensive line gives them a chance to do much. I think they'll help. Patterson and Ridley will help. It will give uh, Ryan some extra targets because one thing New England did last week and did very effectively was shut down Kyle Pitts. They kept over under coverage on him and made it very tough for Ryan to get a ball into Pitts. So with Patterson out there, they wouldn't have been able to do that. All of a sudden, Pitts becomes more open.
Right.
But,
right.
That's one of the problems is when you don't have Patterson, you don't have Ridley. Gage came through, made a couple of nice catches, but nobody's afraid of Russell Gage. They're afraid of Kyle Pitts.
Right.
And Denver said, okay, we're going to shut down New England said, we're going to shut down Kyle Pitts. Who else do you got? And the Falcons couldn't answer to that.
Yeah.
That was the thing. They didn't have anything else.
Well, that's why I think getting back Patterson and Ridley would be really big for this offense. Even if they're not producing necessarily, Patterson has produced all season, though. And I think he will produce when he returns. But Pitts is a rookie. He can't be counted on to carry the offense by himself.
No, can't. Exactly. As I say, New England, as I say, shut him down. They kept him under wraps, and Bill Belichick is still a defensive genius. I mean, the guy knows defense back and forth, and basically what Belichick said was, we're going to stop Pitts and show us who else you have, who else you got, and they just didn't have anything. So yeah, I think it opens up the game more, but it's still tough because you still got the same problems on the offensive line, and there's no fixing any of it this year.
Yeah.
What you see, what you get. We're in week 11 now. So there's nothing that's going to get fixed on either the offensive or defensive line.
Traveling Charlie had another comment. He's still going to go back and watch the game. And he had a question about how much time Matt Ryan had. Charlie, I think when you go back and watch that game, you're going to see that Matt Ryan did not have much time. He did not have much time. You got 12 quarterback hits for the Patriots in that game.
Yeah.
Season high allowed by the Falcons offensive line. And a really good game for a defense with quarterback hits is like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And they had 12. So
they were all over him.
Matt Ryan was bad. We got another comment here. The line was as bad as advertised Thursday. Absolutely.
Yeah. And as I say, it's not like you're going to get somebody back and fix the offensive line. They're all there.
Yeah.
It's
Great
just
point. The offensive line is completely healthy.
There's nothing to be had. There's nothing to be had to fix it right now. At this point in the season. So that's the frustrating part.
Yeah. I think the short week obviously didn't help the Falcons. So maybe a little bit of a mini bye will help. They're going to get the weekend to Arthur Smith said they were going to do a lot of self-reflection. We'll see what that does. And then they will go on the road to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hopefully they get a couple bodies back on offense.
I love Coach Speak. Coach Speak is fantastic.
It is.
It really is.
It is.
It's almost like, Bull Durham. You got to learn your cliches.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's very much like that, how to talk to the media.
Right.
But let's move on to your picks. I'd love to hear what you got against the spread and in Prize Picks. By the way, this video brought to you by Prize Picks, the simplest fantasy sports game on the market. Definitely want to get signed up this weekend for tomorrow's games. When you do sign up, download the app Prize Picks and then use an email. And when you sign up, use the promo code ASU. You get a 100% match on your first deposit. What that means, if you deposit $20, you get $20. If you want to go big, $100, you get $100. $100 is the max on the 100% match.
So yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You get to play with free money for a couple of weeks and see how you do. And as I say, it's a frustrating thing. It's like fantasy football in the fact that it's very frustrating, but it's very fulfilling when it does work when you get them right. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a couple other comments here. Thanks for commenting. I think we have some first-time watchers or first-time commenters at least.
first time
Plus, the
commenters,
only game
yeah,
at all. Yeah, the real, absolutely. We talked about that earlier in the show.
right,
No running game. Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson both in the bottom 10 in yards before contact in the league. That's all on the offensive line. Offensive line not getting any push, opening any gaps for those backs. Excuse me, I don't know if I'll be able to pronounce Vateris Thaxon. That is a cool name. I really feel bad for Matt Ryan. Yeah,
so do I.
We do too.
We do too.
Matt Ryan is not the problem here. We would push back on anybody, any fan that wants to say that Matt Ryan is an issue. Matt Ryan is not the issue with this team. He is the reason why they have 4 wins. Right. And he's putting it all on the line for this team right now.
He's been balling out every week. He gives everything he has every week.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is not on Matt Ryan. It's on everything around Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's doing the best he can. That's about it. So, yes, I do agree with you. Feel really bad for Matt Ryan because he's deserved a lot better than what he's gotten this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we get to your picks, I just want to mention again, No Shave November happening right now. That's why I've got my big beard 20 days into the month. And I'm encouraging everybody that watches comments for our show to participate as well. But not only is this month about not shaving, the products that you would be using to shave, your shaving cream, your razor, the money that you would put towards those products, put that towards prostate cancer at the end of November, beginning of December. It's a very great cause, near and dear to my heart, and I want to raise some money for that great cause this month.
Absolutely. And you don't shave during the month of November. You can look at Dave. You can look like Dave.
Yeah,
he's looking really, really sharp there. I remember years ago when you were growing playoff beards or Stanley Cup playoff beards for the Penguins.
I was.
You couldn't grow a beard to save your life back then.
That's not true. I had a great beard.
Oh, you had a great beard? Okay.
Or are you talking about like 2009 Stanley Cup? Even then, I think I had a good beard.
Okay.
I'll have to send you the Instagram photo the night they won the Stanley Cup.
Maybe I'm not remembering right. I don't know.
Yeah. It needs a little trim down here, but I think it looks nice. Looks good.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
Yeah.
It really does.
Thank you.
Stay with it.
Maybe I will. But okay.
Hide your face more.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're doing now. Let's get to your picks. What do you got against the spread?
All right, let's get to the picks. Why not? Last week was rough because the Titans only won by 2 points, favored by 3, which was terrible. And the Colts took their foot off the gas against Jacksonville. The Colts should have covered. They had scored 17 points in the first quarter. The Colts were just all over that game. And, Tampa Bay just got embarrassed. So, yeah, it was a rough week last week.
Yeah.
But, we're going to hit it again this week. One of the games I like, and I think I'm kind of going contrarian here, is I like the Eagles at home against the Saints. The Eagles are favored by 3 points. The Eagles have gotten better the last couple of weeks on offense. They are a tough defense. And the one thing the Saints are missing, both their offensive tackles, both their starting tackles are going to be out against Philadelphia. So that's something you always want to look at when you're making your picks is how is the offensive line? And with New Orleans, their offensive line is not healthy. Alvin Kamara's out. They're missing Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk, so both with knee injuries. It's going to be rough for them. And I like Philadelphia at home covering the 3 points to win and cover. So that's my first pick. Um, Boy, I've been looking at Miami -3 playing at the New York Jets, and the Jets are so bad that they're going to start Joe Flacco this week.
Yeah. Uh,
Really?
Yeah.
Joe Flacco does nothing for you. And this is kind of the argument that I was having earlier in the year with the Bears, starting Andy Dalton over, 46 minutes into the show, Justin Fields.
45 minutes.
45 minutes. So, folks, yeah, if anybody's got a betting pool going, how long will it take Tom to mention Justin Fields? Yeah, 45 minutes today. Whoever had 45 minutes wins. But, it's the same thing as the Bears when they were starting Dalton over Fields. Like, Dalton does nothing for you. Dalton is not going to be your quarterback next year. He's not going to be your quarterback when he's competitive again. And it's the same thing with the Jets. Flacco is not your quarterback. He's not your quarterback of the future. He was barely your quarterback of the past. And, it's just Robert Saleh is really starting to. I'm wondering about him as a head coach.
Really?
Yeah, I'm starting to have questions because apparently he had some bizarre moments in his press conferences last week, and I don't have any of them written down. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm saying the Jets are so bad right now, and with
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, it's I would say take the Dolphins -3. The Dolphins aren't great, but they do have a solid team. Tua played well last week. Take the Dolphins and do that. Third game, Detroit Lions are giving 12 points to the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Browns played terrible last week, but the Lions, Jared Goff is injured. So they're coming up with their backup quarterback, who I don't even remember his name.
I mean,
and I
you gotta be bad if you're backing up Jared Goff.
Yeah. So and I think Detroit put it all on the line last week. I really think the Browns could cover the 12, even though they had a bad week last week. As I always say, don't overreact to what happened the previous week.
Yeah.
The Browns are kind of showing what they are. That they're not the Super Bowl team that everybody thought we were seeing early in the year, but they do have Nick Chubb back, so their running game is going to be back to normal. Their running game is going back against a decent run defense, but the Browns have the number one running attack in the league. I think they can cover the 12. I think, and Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions, is calling the plays. He has taken over the play calling from Anthony Lynn. So it's, I don't know what to expect from the Lions this week. This could be fun. If you want another comedy game, this might be it. So I'm saying take the Browns and go ahead and give the 12 points because I think the Lions put it all on the line last week, lost, and I don't know how much they're going to have left, especially without Goff at quarterback.
Well, they did not lose. They tied.
They tied, yes. Yes, they tied.
They did not lose.
They will not go 0-17 this year.
They may go 0-16-1.
They go 0-16-1, but hey, they're not going to go 0-17. They will not go. What was that? That 2009 Lions team will not be able to pop the champagne corks this year. Another thing, if you're looking for an upset, you might want to look at the football team. The Washington football team playing the Carolina Panthers this week.
Mm.
They're getting 3.5 points. Again, you're facing a tough defense, but Washington played well last week. Ron Rivera knows Cam Newton about as good as any player can know Cam Newton.
It's true. It's a revenge game.
And I'm telling you, with Chase Daniel is now out for the season. Montez Sweat has been out. And it's like they lost both of those top guys on defense, and they played better. They played their best defensive game of the year last week.
Chase Young.
Chase Young. Why do I keep calling him Chase Daniel?
I was like, I was confused there for a second.
Chase Daniels is a mediocre backup quarterback. Chase Young. Oh, God. Thank you for catching that. You know, and I swore to myself I was not going to make that mistake today.
That's all right. It happens.
I swore I was not going to do that today. And I did it. And also, if you're looking for another upset, give the Minnesota Vikings at home against the Green Bay Packers a look. Packers are missing left tackle David Bakhtiari this week. So things are not going to be as easy for Aaron Rodgers. So
yeah, the real. I was confused there for a second as well.
I know, real deal. I'm sorry. There's certain times I get names mixed up, and I just couldn't help it on that one. I don't know. Why.
You'll never call Justin Fields though, Josh.
No.
So, like a certain Monday Night Football announcer.
Oh, God.
Who I will not name, but I really dislike as an announcer.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've seen every Monday Night Crew since the first Monday Night Crew.
Yeah. And is this the worst crew?
This is the worst crew. This is awful.
It has to be the worst one by far.
I'm not surprised people are watching the Manning cast instead of watching this. And it's something. It's really something for ESPN to put up the Manning cast against their regular crew for a Monday night game.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I still don't really understand it, but now, I don't think ESPN is doing it for this reason, but it does give people an alternative if they don't like the broadcast team. And ESPN should love their Monday Night Football broadcast team. It should be their number one broadcast team across all sports. And it's just, I like Louis Riddick. I don't love him, but he's okay. He's above average.
He's okay.
The other two guys are awful.
Brian Greasy, yeah. Bob Greasy.
No, you had it first. Brian Greasy is right.
Yeah, the time during the Bears-Pittsburgh game where he was talking about the Bears might want to go for 2.
Yeah. Yes.
Brian. Just
one of the dumbest comments ever. But
at some point, yeah, just kind of think about what you're saying before you say it. It's not going.
Well, we got to get to your other picks, but yeah, we'll complain about the Monday night broadcast another time. I did have a comment about the Browns.
Steve Levy is the play-by-play guy. Steve Levy.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention him by name.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to keep him anonymous because I just think he's really bad, and wasn't going to call him out for being really bad, but that's okay. So the Cleveland Browns, I wanted to make a quick comment about them. I've seen this with one of my own teams in a different sport. It's just no matter what the Browns do, they make headlines. And it's like if they get blown out in New England, oh my God, the sky is falling. If they beat New England, Super Bowl champs, they're going to the Super Bowl. They lost to Kansas City in week 1, and people were saying they were a Super Bowl team. They lost the game. And it turns out Kansas City, they were better Sunday, and now everyone is overreacting to that. Kansas City is great again.
Exactly.
But it turned out that in September and October, Kansas City wasn't a good team, and Cleveland lost to that team.
Yeah.
So that didn't make them a Super Bowl team. So I think Cleveland is, as Bill Parcells has famously said, they are what their record says they are. Getting Nick Chubb back will be really big, and I think that's why them covering the spread against Detroit is a good pick. But they're gonna beat Detroit by 30 this week, and again, it's gonna be they're gonna win the AFC North. They're the team to beat now, and it's just like, why do we have to overreact to everything Cleveland does? And it makes them annoying, but it's not the Browns that are doing this. The Baker Mayfield isn't doing this. Yeah, maybe he's in too many commercials, but he's not the one that's writing these headlines. It's the media and just the national attention that it's polarizing around the Cleveland Browns right now. And that's not good for the Browns. It's really not good for their organization trying to take that next step.
No, it's still a growing team. I mean, it's still a team that has a little ways to grow. They hope they have their main pieces in place. They do have a strong defense, but it's not good for them. So, but you're right, and I absolutely, you nailed it with Kansas City. It's just everybody has been waiting to see Kansas City win a game. And they dominated. True, they dominated. They dominated the Raiders. All right? A Raiders team that is on its way to falling apart. And I want to see it again. I'm sorry. I still think people are looking at this Kansas City team and seeing the Super Bowl editions and not seeing the reality of what Kansas City is this year. This is still not a good defense. Yeah, they came up. They showed up on offense last week. They showed up on defense last week. It's still not a good defense. They have played some bad games against some mediocre teams, against good teams. I'm not sold that they're ready. They're back yet, but a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. They play Dallas this week, so I mean that's going to be a big indication of where they are at this point in the season. And in their defense, no one's running away with the AFC.
Nope.
Like the home field advantage, everything is still there for Kansas City to get. And I'm seeing it right now. I've got Clemson, the Clemson Wake Forest game on in the background. And that was Clemson was ruled out for winning anything this year in like week 3. And if they win this game, they're up 10-0. They're going to be real close to getting back to the AFC Championship game and winning that conference yet again. And if you follow ACC football, no one's run away with that conference. It's been mediocre this year.
Nobody wants to see your butt. Come on.
And it's the same thing happening in the AFC, that everybody's
and that was
all together, and it's going to give teams like Kansas City an opportunity to get right back to where they were last year with the number 1 seed.
Right. But that was another thing everybody said. Well, yeah, everybody keeps saying Kansas City's been bad this year, but look, they're in first place in the West now. They won one game. They're in first place in the West. That's because everybody is so tightly bunched.
Yeah.
That it doesn't mean that.
Well, couldn't they fall into last place if they lose this week?
Yeah, very easily. They were in last place a couple of weeks ago. So that's the thing. That's what gets me. Don't overreact to last week. I say that when I do my picks all the time. Don't overreact to what happened before. You got to keep looking at what's happening this next week. Prize picks. Let's get some prize picks.
Real quick. I'm looking at the standings, and I see Kansas City has won 3 in a row. The Titans won 6 in a row. Steelers, they don't have a streak. It just has a dash on the ESPN because why is
tied last week?
Why isn't their streak 1 tie?
Like that? Yeah.
The Ravens streak is 1 loss. So why wouldn't the Steelers streak be a tie? I'm just complaining about ESPN again.
They weren't defeated last week. I mean, come on.
But their streak is they've tied.
Yeah.
If they tie again, they have a tie streak.
They got a tie streak of 2 games. Yeah.
All right, your price picks.
Joe Burrow, passing yards, 259.5. The Bengals are playing the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think the Bengals, I'm talking too much today. The Bengals are going to come back from their debacle last week, going to come back and beat the Raiders. And I think Joe Burrow definitely against the Las Vegas defense puts up 259 and a half yards. Devontae Smith to 52 and a half yards receiving. Uh, One of Jalen Hurts' favorite targets. And I think Devontae Smith um, is a good target. He's done this. I think he's only failed to miss 52 and a half yards 3 times this year. So, go ahead and take him. I like him. The third guy I have been having problems with, but they have Dalvin Cook for half a rushing touchdown, which says, all right, if he doesn't score, you lose. If he does touchdown, you win.
Right.
I think Dalvin Cook takes one into the end zone against the Packers tomorrow. So I would take that Dalvin Cook over the half touchdown and run with that. That's my 3 prize pick guys. And let me know who you guys come up with. Next week. Let's compare notes. Let's see how we did.
Absolutely. And remember, sign up for the app, use our promo code ASU, 100% deposit match up to $100. And it's fun. As Thomas said, we've got our picks that players that we're going to be using every single week. Maybe I'll have some picks next week just for fun.
Yeah.
But definitely encourage you guys to check that out. That's our sponsor. So if you sign up, not only are you having some fun, you're also supporting the show.
Absolutely. And we need you to support the show. I think everybody enjoys what they hear from us. So yeah, support the show. We welcome it, and we welcome all the fans that listen every week, and we're very thankful for all of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, next week we won't have any Falcons game to recap. We will have a Jaguars game to preview the matchup with the Jaguars. But I think we will dive more into the Prize Picks app and picks that you can make there next week without a full Falcons game to recap. We had 2 games to talk about today. We won't have any next week.
And I tell you, I know we're heading into fantasy. We're getting close to the end of the fantasy season.
Yeah.
Dave is the fantasy guru. So bring some of your fantasy questions to Dave. If you're close, if you're in second place, if you're fighting for that playoff spot, bring your fantasy questions in. Dave will set you right and get you into your playoffs.
Yeah, I love helping people win their fantasy football championship. That's very rewarding. It amazes me. I guess I've just been very, very fortunate that I've won several times. And then there's people that come up to me and say, I've never won before. I really want to win. Man, if you've never won before, we got to get you that first championship. Yep. This next month. Next month it's going to happen.
Yeah, let's do it. Bring your fantasy questions.
That does it for our show today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for bearing with us as we dissected the really rough outings for the Falcons the last week. We'll be back next Saturday, noon Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central.
Yeah, everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving and have a great week.
Yes, great. Thanks for bringing that up. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.